In this video, I'm going to pick 15 players for the rugby team of the 90s based on who had the most top quality performances during the decade. For some of the positions, I'm going to name a short list of players who deserve mentions, then pick the one that I think should be recognised as the best in their position for the decade. At the loosehead prop position, I've shortlisted 3 players which include Christian Caliafano, Jason Leonard and Oz Durant. Taking the first spot in the 90s team is Oz Durant, who is regarded by some as the best loosehead of all time. He made his Springboks debut in 1994 and made 39 appearances during the decade, winning the World Cup in 1995. He reached 80 total appearances for his career and retired after winning his second World Cup in 2007. Standing at 6'3" and 135 kg, he had incredible athleticism for his size, with the ability to break away from tacklers with his pace, but also bulldoze over them if they got in his way. At the hooker position, I've shortlisted 2 players which include Sean Fitzpatrick and Keith Wood. For this team, I've gone with Sean Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick made his All Blacks debut in 1986, winning the World Cup in 87, and he went on to have a fantastic career, retiring from international rugby in 97, having made 69 appearances during the decade, scoring 9 tries. He became captain of the team in 1992 and is regarded as one of the greatest hookers the game has seen. At Tighthead prop, the player I've chosen is Jason Leonard. Although he spent most of his career playing at Loosehead prop, he also played a chunk of his games during the 90s at Tighthead prop, and I believe these performances, along with his versatility, were enough to earn him a place in the best front row of the decade. Leonard made his England debut in 1990 and made 80 appearances during the decade. For the first lock position at number 4, I've selected Martin Johnson. Although his crowning moment came in 2003, winning the World Cup as captain, which he retired right after, Johnson's performances in an England jersey from 1993 to 99 warrant him a place in this team. He played in 58 tests during the 90s, which include 5 for the Lions, with 2 games against New Zealand in 93 and 3 games against South Africa in 97, for which he captained the team. Johnson was a towering player at 6'7", and he embodied the old school hardman approach from the amateur era, as he was never one to back down from a scrap. He was a serial winner with 2 Six Nations and 2 Premiership title wins in the 90s, along with the additional 3 Six Nations and 3 Premierships he would win in the 2000s, as well as 2 European Cups. For the second lock position, I've selected John Eales. A straightforward choice in my mind, as Eales is one of the greatest players to play the lock position. His Wallabies career spanned from 91 to 2001, and he made 86 appearances in this time, captaining the side 55 times with 69 appearances coming during the 90s. He won 2 World Cups during the decade in 91 and 99, playing in 6 games in 91 and playing in 5 games in 99 as he captained Australia to their second World Cup. He also played in 4 games in the 95 World Cup in South Africa before elimination. Eales scored a total of 173 points for Australia, which is an unusually high tally for a forward, but these points came as a result of 2 tries, 31 penalty goals and 33 conversions, showing he had an accurate boot for a big man, with one of his most famous kicks coming at the end of the game against New Zealand in 2000 to retain the Bledisloe Cup. Because of his massive contribution to Australian rugby, the Australian Player of the Year award is named after him. For the flanker positions, some of the players that deserve mentions are Josh Cromfeld, Richard Hill, Michael Jones and Francois Pienaar. For the blindside flanker position, the player I've selected is Michael Jones. Jones started his career as an Openside flanker in the 80s and scored 6 tries in the 14 tests he played during that decade. In the 90s, however, he played 42 tests, scoring 6 tries, and switched to the blindside as his role in the team evolved. He could have played many more games had it not been for injuries and his refusal to play on Sundays because of his religious beliefs, but in the games he did play, he was often spectacular and possibly the best flanker of his era. He was an incredible all-round rugby player with top-notch ball handling skills and athleticism, as well as being strong defensively. At Openside flanker, I've selected Josh Cromfeld. Cromfeld played for the All Blacks between 1995 and 2000, making 47 test appearances during the 90s in which he scored 12 tries. Having played alongside Michael Jones, he took over the number 7 position when Jones switched to 6, and he served the jersey well, particularly after the high expectations that had been set by Jones. Cromwell played in the 95 and 99 World Cups, scoring 3 tries from 6 games in the 95 World Cup before losing in the final to South Africa. He often ran great support lines which led to try-scoring opportunities, and he was good at finding space to exploit when running with the ball in hand. He won both the Tri-Nations and the Bledisloe Cup on 3 occasions. At number 8, the player I've chosen to round out the All Blacks trio of loose forwards is Zinzan Brooke. Having received 55% of the fan vote for the title of the greatest ever All Blacks number 8 on Sky Sports The Breakdown, Brooks also deserves to be recognised as the best number 8 to play throughout the 90s, with his All Blacks career spanning from 1987 to 1999. Brooke made 56 test appearances during the 90s, in which he scored 16 tries, which was an exceptionally high scoring rate for a forward. He had a wide range of skills and was even said to be comfortable playing at fly half, and he kicked 3 drop goals in his career, including one from 50 metres in the 1995 World Cup semi-final against England. Brooke was a great passer who could set up tries for teammates and also a fantastic ball carrier, as he had the strength to fend off multiple tacklers as well as being a solid tackler himself. At the scrum half position, the choices between George Gregan and Joost van der Westhuizen, and for this team I've chosen van der Westhuizen. Van der Westhuizen made his Springboks debut in 1993, and he was the starting scrum half at the 95 World Cup, playing in all 6 games as South Africa won the tournament on home soil. He was named as South Africa's captain in 1999 to lead them into the World Cup that year. He scored an extremely impressive 29 tries in 58 tests during the 90s, which validates that he was much more than just a passing scrum half, since he could make breaks on his own while evading and breaking tackles, while also having a great all-round game. For the fly half position, the shortlist includes Michael Laine and Andrew Martins, with little to choose between the two, as they were both prominent players in different halves of the decade, with Laine's international career finishing in 95, while Martins started in 95. For this team, I've given the edge to Laine. Michael Laine played 36 tests for the Wallabies during the 90s, in which he scored 12 tries, and upon his retirement, he was the highest point scorer in Test rugby history with 911 points. He was a pivotal part of the Australian team that won the 1991 World Cup, as he played in all 6 games and scored 2 tries, with one of the most memorable tries of his career coming against Ireland in the quarter-final, where he scored in the final minutes of the game to give Australia a 19 points to 18 win. He was a leader on the pitch, and he captained the side from 1993 to 1995 before he retired from international rugby. He was inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame in 2014. At inside centre, the players I've shortlisted are Tim Horan, Brian Lima and Jeremy Guscott, and the player I've selected is Tim Horan, who I ranked as the greatest inside centre ever in my top inside centres video. Horan made his Wallabies debut at just 19 and played for Australia from 1989 to 2000, scoring 28 tries in 80 tests, with 26 of those tries coming during the 76 tests he played during the 90s. During this time, Australia won 2 World Cups in 91 and 99, with Horan playing an instrumental part in both wins, as he scored 4 tries in the 91 World Cup and won the award for the player of the tournament in 99. Horan had exceptional speed, and he could run direct to make a line break but also beat his opponents with his footwork. He was a good kick chaser and was able to win aerial battles under a high ball, and he had an all-round solid game and often put his teammates through for tries. He was inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame in 2015. For the outside centre position, the choice is between Philippe Sella and Frank Bunce, and I've selected Philippe Sella. Sella made a significant contribution to French rugby in both the 80s and 90s, playing for France from 1982 to 1995, during which time he made 111 appearances, which stood as the test match record when he retired. He started his career sometimes playing on the wing, but during the 90s he was nailed on as the outside centre, and he played 48 games during the decade, scoring 9 tries. Sella was a nimble player and always looked to take advantage of a broken play where he could make a break against an unorganised defence. He had sublime footwork and speed, which led to him finishing off many magnificent French tries where the ball was taken from one end of the pitch to the other. He played in 3 World Cups, losing out to New Zealand in the final in '87, and he was inducted into the World Rugby Hall of Fame in 2008. For the winger's position, I'll first list the shortlisted players, then select one for the left and right wing. The players are David Campese, Jonah Lomu and Jeff Wilson. On the left wing, I've selected Jonah Lomu. During the 90s, Lomu played 38 tests for the All Blacks in which he scored 25 tries, with his most prolific seasons being 1995 where he scored 12 tries, followed by 1999 where he scored 9 tries, both World Cup years. Along with Brian Habana, he is the joint leading World Cup try scorer with 15 tries, and some of his most iconic performances came in the World Cup semis, with the 4 tries he scored against England in 95 and 2 tries he scored against France in 99. Standing at 6'5" and 120 kg, Lomu was notorious for rampaging through defences, and he was the type of athlete that hadn't been seen playing in the backline before because of his remarkable combination of size, power and speed. On the right wing, I have the difficult task of fitting either Jeff Wilson or David Campese into the team. Campese scored 30 tries in 53 tests during the 90s and won 1 World Cup, while Wilson scored 39 tries in 54 tests, making it to a World Cup final, and for this team I've gone with Jeff Wilson. Wilson made a big impact when he first burst onto the international scene by scoring a hat-trick against Scotland on his debut at just 20 years old. Wilson had electrifying pace which helped him to get on the end of many kick chases, and he was known for scoring spectacular tries when the slightest of opportunities were presented. When he retired from rugby in 2002, aged just 28, he was New Zealand's highest ever try scorer with 44 tries. A talented sportsman, he made his return to cricket after leaving rugby. At full-back, the players making the list are Andre Joubert and Christian Cullen. I've selected Christian Cullen because I believe the peak performance he reached during the 90s contained arguably the best attacking displays we've seen from a full-back in rugby. Cullen made his All Blacks debut in 1996, and his career got off to an electric start as he scored 7 tries in his first 2 games. He played a total of 41 tests during the 90s in which he scored 31 tries, which included a number of spectacular long-range runs where he beat player after player on his way to the try line. He held the New Zealand try-scoring record for several years with 46 tries, having passed Jeff Wilson's tally in 2002. His mix of speed, strength, stepping and ability to find a gap was a nightmare for any defender to face, but a joy to watch for supporters who loved pure attacking rugby. In my next video, I'll be continuing this series with the best 15 of the 80s, so if you'd like certain players to be featured, please leave a comment and thanks for watching.